All right, everybody, and welcome back. Now we're going to talk about layer 2s. Thank you, Josh, for talking about stablecoins and how to provide liquidity. I hope everything is clear, and I hope that we can now move forward to a little bit more technical, a little bit more difficult topic called layer 2s, because we have interacted now with a couple of testnets. We have interacted now with maybe a couple of blockchains, and there's a lot of different chains, right? So we have the Ethereum mainnet chain, which can be maybe a little bit expensive, but we also have side chains called like Polygon or Solana, etc. And we also have rollups called like ZK rollups or optimistic rollups. That's all what we're going to discuss in this lecture. Okay, first going to talk a little bit about blockchain scaling, side chains, layer 2s. We're going to use hands-on ZK Sync, so we're actually going to try out a layer 2, and we're going to talk about what blockchain will scale and how this will look like. Okay, so when you work, when we have a trustless, immutable record of data, where we have recorded money, time, data, etc. What we found out over the years with Bitcoin and other blockchains is a very new technology, but we can very clearly see there is a trilemma. There is a trade-off between different parameters. Okay, what does this trade-off look like? Well, we have either a very secure but not really decentralized. We either have a very secure and decentralized blockchain, but then it's not really scalable. Or we have a very secure and scalable blockchain, but then it's not really decentralized. Or we have a scalable decentralized blockchain, but then it's not secure. So you need to find the perfect middle ground between all these parameters to build the best blockchain. And I think those parameters will never be best. It's a utopian to think that we can find one golden bullet that is perfect for everything. Some blockchains say they have that, but I think that will basically never happen. I think we will always have a trilemma and a dilemma of certain applications with certain needs and certain security needs, certain scalability needs, certain decentralization needs. And as we see, like in the beginning, Ethereum, of course, was very cheap as well compared to Bitcoin. But in the year 2020, 2021, Ethereum also got very, very expensive. The reason for this is because Ethereum got a lot of usage. So it had a more secure, scalable, and decentralized solution. The trade-off that Ethereum made is that it is actually a little bit, it's less decentralized than Bitcoin. So it became a little bit more scalable, but with a little bit less decentralization. You could say that what is the perfect trade-off? Blockchains like Tron, etc., also for whatever weird reason also still around, right? So you need to find that perfect trade-off where it's still nation-state resistant, and we can still not have one person decide everything, but also have the scalability that we need. This is very, very important to think about as a basis while we now move forward to explore different layer 2s. Okay, so when we scale a blockchain, when we have one base layer 2, there's different ways how we can scale a blockchain. A little bit of history before we move forward. If we look at Bitcoin, for example, there's been many debates, right? A lot of people want to increase the block size. There's some people that want to decrease the block size. People want to keep it the same. The camp that wanted to keep the block size the same won. They want to keep the block size as 1 megabyte. They don't want to scale that, and they want to scale in the Lightning Network, right? And that's what's happening now with Bitcoin. Is that the best way to go? I'm not sure. Maybe it's scaling the blockchain, but then you can also go to an extreme to scale the blockchain to like tens of gigabytes, etc. And then you have propagation issues, double spend issues. So there's always a trade-off in all these different scalability solutions. Let's now look, in my opinion, Ethereum will be the main layer 1 where different sidechains or different rollups will be built on top of. I think Ethereum is definitely not the best trade-off, but it is a good trade-off. It's a good enough trade-off between scalability, decentralization, etc. And will be different sidechains that will work with Ethereum, but my personal favorite is ZK rollups to scale the blockchain, or optimistic rollups. You have optimistic rollups and ZK rollups, and what they basically do, they have you have the main layer 1 blockchain, Ethereum, then you have a rollup, so that's basically a different chain, but they sync back to Ethereum X blocks, right? And they do that in a way so that when you do the transaction, actually a signature is already published to the layer 1 blockchain, and then the main data is synced back over time. That's basically happens to a ZK roll. But an optimistic rollup, you have you basically do, let's say, 5 blocks, and then after 5 blocks you mesh every time, like in a batch transaction, all transactions together to layer 1. These are 2 different ways of doing it. My personal favorite is ZK rollups, because you actually have the signature on layer 1 directly, and you can also escape back whenever you want from your ZK rollup to layer 1. So there's always an escape hatch possible. If you want to see which layer, layer 2, etc. is winning, you can always go to layer 2 beats and check out yourself which layer 2 has the most volume and what you might want to explore. What is important to really get here is that it is a experimental space, so there's always different trade-offs between everything, and there's always risks, right? So if we go back to the trilemma, with rollups we have more scalability but less security and less decentralization, but it is definitely more scalable. So we can see here a very nice comparison. It's actually done by Matter Labs that built ZK rollups, so you could say, well, you know, they build it, but I personally also think that they're the best, actually. And you can see that with optimistic rollups, there is this withdrawal time that it's quite long because of the design of the rollup, and the finality takes longer. So it takes longer until the transaction is final on layer 1, and that also has different trade-off. And it is less private. ZK rollups are more, they're in my way the best. But all these rollups and all these sidechains, they were literally, while I record this course, like I'm building also a new project, we're deploying to an optimistic rollup for now, because the ZK rollups is still a very much in developed space. But actually, as of 3 days ago, ZK rollups for Uniswap went live, and that's what we're going to test now. So, you know, you can see it as we're building it. This space moves ultra fast. All right, let's take a look. The links to go to this website are in the links in the description below. You need to go to uni.zksync.io, and then you will go to this page. You, of course, need to install MetaMask, but if it's correct, you already know how MetaMask works, and you already have it installed. All right, so what you do, you connect your wallet, and it will ask to you, okay, do you want to connect your wallet? Say yes, let's connect the wallet. Then it says you're on the wrong chain because you're probably on Ethereum mainnet, which is fine, but then you want to switch to this chain. It actually already says to you which chain you need to switch to, and it will automatically do that for you. You just click switch network, and here you go. We're entered in the network. If it's the first time you're using this, it will give you a notification like, well, tweet on Twitter that you need some test tokens, and then a robot will see that you post a tweet and will send you some test tokens to your address. And you can see that here where I did that. Okay, great. All right, let's do a swap, and let's see how fast we can swap things around here. Okay, I want to swap some USDC for some DAI. Let's go. I'm going max out. I'm gonna get of course the exchange rate is not perfect because this is a testnet, but anyway, it's more for the testing. Let's see how this goes. All right, here you go. It's very similar how it works today, how it normally works. I'm going to swap it, confirm the swap. There we go. I need to confirm the transaction. And instead of actually doing the transaction, which we normally use in Ethereum, where you actually have to, and there we go, where you actually have to set the gas fees, etc., etc., etc. With Zk Rollup, the only thing that you have to do is make this signature, and then it will publish it for you to chain. So there you go. It took 22 seconds, and it is already confirmed. You can see that. But what we need to understand is that this is now confirmed in this Zk Rollup. But since the trade-off that we took here is that it might take some time before it's synced to layer 1, right? Now you probably also start to understand why, in some cases, it actually makes sense on transact on layer 1 if you really want to get that super high security. If you're just doing maybe a simple, NFT exchange or whatever, do you really need layer 1 security? Probably not. So I think that if we look back at the scalability and if we look back at the blockchain trilemma, I think that Ethereum will be the main layer 1 of choice, and a lot of rollups and a lot of sidechains will be built around that. It's a little bit how I see it in this illustration here. We scale Ethereum. We get a more scalable sharded layer 1. And on top of that, most of the transaction will happen on layer 2s. And that will happen on rollups like ZK rollups, optimistic rollups, etc., etc., on non-custodial sidechains that we can see here. I would like to nerd deeper with you, and what I would like to ask you, in the links below, you will find a post from Vitalik himself that describes a rollup-centric Ethereum roadmap. I would like to ask you to go over it and to give your opinions. Maybe you can even comment in the forum, in the Ethereum Magicians forum, or you can comment in the Ivan on Tech forum and let us know what you think. How do you think we should scale Ethereum, and what is the most efficient way? I think the most efficient way is having a decentralized layer 1 and a lot of rollups around that layer 1 with different use cases. And also with sharding, a lot of different shards where we also have different use cases, and a main layer 1 of the main chain where we will sync the most valuable data, and then data around that via rollups or etc., etc. That is my opinion. I would love to hear what you are thinking. Please debate me and go to the forum and let me know what you think, how we should construct that. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Good luck, Jos, with the last lessons of DeFi 101. At the end of this course, we will also have a debate together, and I hope to see everybody there as well. Thank you, everybody, and speak to you soon.